Next up, the shroud of mystery surrounding PlayStation's upcoming Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, is slowly being lifted because we got brand new details about the game's future, the game's background, and what gamers can expect at launch. I will say this, right? I'm a big Naughty Dog fan. I've loved every single game that Naughty Dog has come out with, and Naughty Dog could put their label on anything, and I will buy it, right? Like, it's just where we're at in the world of gaming. I will say, I'm hyped about this game. I think it looks very cool. I'm not very hyped about the name. Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. I just, maybe once I play it, I'll be like, oh, it all makes sense. But it's just like, what does that mean? Like, the Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. Now, there's been a lot of conversations surrounding this game that maybe it's going to be a series, and maybe this is just part one. So maybe the game is called Intergalactic, and then the Heretic Prophet is just the title for the first one, just like Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars Return of the Jedi. That's what I'm holding out for. I'm holding out for the fact that this game is actually called Intergalactic, and the first chapter is just the Heretic Prophet. So maybe moving forward, I won't be like tongue-tied when I'm talking about it, and I can just be like, the Intergalactic Space Heretic Prophet video game from Naughty Dog. I can just say Intergalactic. But anyway, I think it is very safe to say, outside of the name, there's a lot of mystery surrounding this game. Let's rewind it a little bit, because we just found out about this game almost 3 months ago. In the 2024 Game Awards, a night filled with new game announcements, celebration, and of course a very finely dressed Jeff Keighley. Shout out to Jeff. But during the show, PlayStation and Naughty Dog both showed off a first look at Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, the first ever sci-fi video game from Naughty Dog, along with being the first brand new video game from Naughty Dog since 2013. And the trailer was cool. Look, it looks very interesting, but we didn't see much gameplay outside of like that dope laser sword battle running sequence we got at the end. But it looks intriguing, right? There's enough there to kind of get me interested. I'm not turning it off, but like I want to see more. And since that teaser, Naughty Dog has just been super tight-lipped about this game. We don't know much. We don't know when it's coming. We don't know what it's about. We just know it's set in the future. We just know it's a space game. So fast forward to this week, and Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann took part of a creator-to-creator video with Sony that participated with Neil and Alex Garland from 21 Days Later. The upcoming, 21 Years Later that's coming out? Great movie. It's definitely worth watching. But the two of them sat down and kind of had like a little love session, right? Alex was like, I love The Last of Us. It inspired me heavily. And Neil Druckmann's like, I love 21 Days Later. It inspired me. Alex is like, yo, Last of Us made us make 21 Years Later so much better because we knew there was so much more storytelling we could tell. And it was just a great video. We'll definitely include the link down below. But the video did include some new details about Intergalactic, the Space Heretic, including when the game might be taking place.
I've been working on this project at Naughty Dog for 4 years now. We just announced it. It's called Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. It's our venture into more sci-fi stuff.
Are you talking deep space? Are you talking about, is it Earthbound?
It's not Earthbound. It takes place 2,000 years in an alternate future that deviates in the late 80s.
Wow.
And we spent like years just coming up with that timeline.
Now, some of that we've already known, right? Like, the game takes place in the future. It's a space game. It's not a space Earth game. But the fact that it's a 2,000 years in the future on a timeline that deviates from the late 80s is very interesting. And the other big takeaway here is Neil said that Naughty Dog has been working on this game for 4 years now, which I know a lot of people would say that, but like, the game's got to be coming out right now, right? Naughty Dog's been working on this game for 4 years. It's got to be launching in 2025. Intergalactic, the Space Heretic, is launching in the December of 2025. It's confirmed, which I feel like I definitely would say these days that means nothing, right? You could have said like The Last of Us took 4 years, so this game took 4 years. That's when it's going to be launching. But like, I feel like GTA 6 has just thrown all out the door. Grand Theft Auto 6 has been in development for like 7 years. So this game, 4 years in, means nothing. We could still be 3 years from now here on this channel, God willing, still talking about this game. So keep that in mind. The part that did intrigue me here is that they said Naughty Dog spent the past couple years creating the events in the timeline that deviates from the late 80s, which is very interesting because keep in mind, first space shuttle to ever go to orbit, 1981, right? I think it was the Challenger, went up 1981. Cold War ended in the late 80s and Berlin fell. So in this game's history, that must be the pivotal moment, right? From that point on, everything is different from our timeline to theirs. And that could be really interesting because think about that. Everything that's happened since the 80s never happened. You know, no Trump, no Obama, No 9/11, no Bush, no Iraqi war, no Afghanistan war, no Clinton. Maybe Intergalactic Space Heretic is a timeline where the world truly unites. And instead of shooting rockets at each other, we're just putting people on rockets and shooting them towards the stars. Maybe we can hope. Maybe we can hope and live vicariously through that world versus the timeline that we're in. Now, next in this interview, Neil Druckmann takes a little punch. I will warn you. He takes a little swing at those of you that did not like the outcome of Last of Us Part 2. Let's pull this clip up real quick.
It's funny. It's like I joke about this with the team. It's like, oh, we made a game with The Last of Us 2. We made certain creative decisions. I got us a lot of hate. A lot of people love it, but a lot of people hate that game.
Who gives a shit?
Exactly. So the joke is like, you know what? Let's do something that people won't care as much about. Let's make a game about faith and religion.
The irony that I find here is just like the state of the internet today is that even though he prefaced this by saying like, the joke is, the internet's not going to take that as a joke. They're going to be like, how dare Neil Druckmann make fun of our outrage for very serious reasons over The Last of Us 2, and now he thinks he's just going to make a game about religion and faith, and no one's going to get upset. It's a joke, okay? He's clearly razzing you. He knows what upsets you, and he's just saying, like, it's just like me saying, like, on this show, we're not going to talk about religions, politics, or money, right? It's not going to happen, because those are the things that all divide us. We're going to talk about the things that we enjoy, video games. It's a joke. Take it for what it is. But on the topic of religion, we are going to talk about religion this one time, specifically the religion from Intergalactic Space Heretic, because Neil Druckmann kind of gives us our first teaser of what we can expect from that newfound religion.
We not only in this alternate history timeline, we've made this where the timeline deviates, this new religion becomes pretty prominent. And then we spend years just building out this religion of like from the original prophet all the way how it gets like changed and sometimes bastardized and evolves over all these years. And this whole religion takes place on this one planet, and then at one point all communication stops from this planet.
Nice.
And you're playing a bounty hunter that's chasing her bounty, and she crash lands on this planet. And it's and I really wanted to make a game about faith and religion, but also about
this. It sounds
just being
awesome.
lonely. So many of the previous games we've done, there's always like an ally with you, and you're talking. I was like, I really want you to be lost in a place that you're really confused about what happened here. Who are the people here? What was their history? And in order to get off this planet, like, again, no one has been heard from this planet for 600 years. So if you ever have hoped to have a chance to get off, you have to figure out what happened here.
And this is the part of the video where my hype levels begin to get super big. Because you talk about spending the last 4 years building a religion and building a backstory. Like, that is some Tolkien level of backstory that I'm expecting right now. Because now you take Naughty Dog. Like I said, one of the greatest storytellers in the video game industry. They've come out with The Last of Us. They came out with Uncharted. And now, those very same people have spent the last 3 to 4 years creating a story and creating 2,000 years worth of history. Like, pause for a second. That is so sick. And I took some notes during that last part because there were some key things. The religion in the game is going to be starting in the 80s. They built it up from the original Prophet. So, right, they've got like the early foundation days. Naughty Dog created that story. The religion, like many other religions in the world, it evolves, it gets bastardized, and then we are where we are today. And a backstory of that scale is going to be so fun to experience firsthand, especially with Naughty Dog doing it. I can't wait. Other big detail came out of this conversation. Planets where we're going to be going, all communications have been cut off for 600 years. You crash land on the planet. The game then not only focuses on action, not focuses on all the world around you and everything that you know, it's going to be focusing on loneliness. You land on the planet. You don't have a ghost who's like, hey, eyes up, Guardian, we got to go over here. You're not going to have some type of annoying fairy that's like, hey, listen, you're by yourself. You crash land on a planet as a bounty hunter. You're searching for someone. You're by yourself. You begin asking, where is everybody? What happened on this planet? What is this planet? How do I survive? How do I escape? So you take that, and then you combine that with the backstory that they're weaving, the narrative that they're creating. 2,000 years of history into that very moment. I can't wait. That's going to be such a fun time. Now, as far as when we can expect this game, I know some of you are hoping to see this game later this year. I would say don't hold your breath. Neil Druckmann kind of talked about this in the next clip.
Yeah, it's so we still have a ways to go, but I'm
Sure.
kind of very excited to see. And it's like, again, these things are so complex and big, and there's so many people involved. It's like I still don't know exactly what this thing is going to look like at the end. It's like I have a theory, I have an idea, but it's still evolving and changing as we're making it.
Still a ways to go. So that leads me to say don't expect this in 2025. Maybe it'll be 2026. And then Neil says, I don't know what this game will look like at the end. And what that tells me is there's two schools of thought, right? Either one, this game is very far from completion, maybe 2027, maybe 2028, or the game is multiple parts, like we talked about. Maybe the game is called Intergalactic, and the first chapter is called The Space Heretic. And maybe Chapter 1 is complete. Maybe Chapter 1 launches this year in 2025, and then we consistently get one every 2 years as a brand new series. And if we're lucky enough, maybe we get the ending of the game in Part 2, or maybe it goes all the way to Part 10. Like, imagine that. Imagine them planning that far out, kind of like Destiny did when they launched it. So like, we got 10 years worth of content tied into this game. I would love to see Naughty Dog do it. I'd love to see him continue. But when you look at that comment of like, I don't know how it ends, is he talking about the game or is he talking about the series? Like, maybe he knows how the first chapter ends and maybe they're ready. Maybe the game's ready to launch this year. But then you look at the other side, it's like, hey, how are you starting off on Chapter 1 and still not knowing how the end of the story goes? Most people will tell you that they know what the story is before they begin the ending. So it's just kind of an interesting concept there to hear from Neil. Now, I will also say, only criticism here, and it's not really a big criticism because it's like we weren't expecting it, but there's still no gameplay. I'd love to see more gameplay from this video game so I can kind of expect. But I will say the nuggets that Neil did drop during this video are building up my hype level. I'm still not at like hype level midnight, but I'm there. I'm very close to being there. I mean, the things that get me excited right now are the 3 years of the best storytellers in the video game industry, building a history, creating a religion, and weaving a narrative for us to all experience. I mean, right there, you're talking like Star Wars level Force. Like, maybe the religion is like the Jedi religion, and you're getting like that level of commitment from Naughty Dog. Again, I mentioned Tolkien. I would love to see this game have the same backstory and the same level of depth as the Tolkien books do. And then like maybe even we get like a Game of Thrones level narrative. Right? Maybe the narrative just elevates even more to the point where we're like, man, this is just as good as Game of Thrones. Personally, I can't wait. Obviously, I'm going to have to because I would go out and bet that this game is not launching in 2025. But we will be covering Intergalactic Space Heretic along with the future of the series here on this channel. So make sure if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and put your hype levels down in the comment section. I want to know, am I alone here? Am I the only one excited about this video game? Or are you with me? Are you like borderline hype level midnight for this video game? Sound off. Let me know in the comment section down below.